Good morning, Sean. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another morning of Coffee with Toastmasters. Our guest today is Sean, our well-known adrenaline junkie and adventurer. How are you doing today, Sean?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So, how long have you been an adrenaline junkie? When was the first time you knew you liked to do exciting and dangerous things?
I feel that I came out of the womb with hiking boots and poles and ready to go. Started at a very young age. You know, it just kind of runs in the family. My dad always loved adventure and adrenaline. And so, yeah, at a very young age, just learned from him, and he learned from his father. It's been passed down.
Excellent. There are so many places to go, so many things to do. It's a big world. How do you decide what you're going to do and what you're going to do next?
That's very difficult to really decide because there are so many places. It really just depends on how much time I have to dedicate to it. You know, how long of a trip can I do? It also depends on what type of season it is. Is it winter? Am I going to need winter gear, or is it going to be summer? Am I going to carry less gear? So I take all that into consideration, but normally I try to find a place that's reasonably close, within maybe like an 8-hour drive for most of the trips. That way, if it's just a weekend trip, we can shoot up there, and 2-3 days we can have that trip. So just kind of look in the vicinity first, and then look at different national parks for the great areas to check out too.
I've got a bucket list, and it seems to be growing quicker than I can check off those items. What are a couple things on your bucket list?
You know, number one, Kilimanjaro. I've always wanted to go to Africa and climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and then while there, do a little safari through the Serengeti there, see all the animals. So that's one of the top ones. The second one is to complete the Pacific Crest Trail, which that's a trail from Mexico to Canada, and I know that's a hefty one, but I'm going to find a way to do that.
So you want to climb a mountain that starts with Kill a Man. What's one of your scariest adventures?
The scariest adventure that I had was in the outback of Idaho. It was in the winter. We were going on it's called a split board trip. A split board is a snowboard that separates and turns into cross-country skis. We went with a group of about 13 people. We were out there for about 8 days, but it was snowing so much that just the first night, and our shelter that we used that night was just a tarp kind of a thing, and we dug out in the snow around it. And it snowed so much that night that when we were dead asleep, it collapsed on top of us and pinned us in. And right then, the fright just overwhelmed me. I didn't know what to do. And we were able to make it through that incident, but that was the scariest adventure that I've been.
Wow. Haven't had anything like that happen to me yet, thank goodness. So when you go backpacking, what do you normally put in the backpack, and how much does it weigh?
That all depends on, once again, what type of trip we're going on, how long we're going on, but there are the essential items that we have to have. You know, obviously a sleeping bag, your shelter, a tent or a bivvy, something like that. Anything you're going to cook food with, the stoves, all your food. But typically, as far as weight goes, try to keep it under 40 pounds, and on average, about 25 to 35 pounds, I would say.
Does that include food also?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do. Do you consider yourself an ultralight backpacker?
I don't. I try to be. But then I always think about, well, this would really be fun to have on the trip, or this would be great. And then by the end, I end up taking a lot more weight than what I should.
So what's next on your bucket list?
Next on the bucket list, I don't have anything set in stone planned yet, but winter is coming, and I love to go out there in the snow, do the winter trips. It'll probably be one of the local mountains, San Gorgonio, most likely. Probably take the split board out there and maybe try to summit that. Stay a few days out there.
So you stay pretty spontaneous on your adventures.
We like to. Don't really like to have too much of a schedule. Kind of leave it open. You never know what's going to happen on the trip, what kind of inclement weather is going to come in, or who you're going to meet, or anything. Yeah, just keep it open.
Who inspires you?
I would say John Muir was a huge inspiration of mine. He was a great adventurer and accomplished so many great things. So he definitely inspired me to adventure.
So if you've inspired anybody in the audience, what would you tell them on how to start?
I would say there's a lot of great classes that are put on. REI is a great company that not only sells all types of gear that you would need on an adventure, but also puts on classes to where you can learn all the basics to be able to get out there and start backpacking. So that, and also YouTube. YouTube's amazing. You can learn so many things from YouTube on there.
Would you mind answering any questions from the audience?
No, not at all.
Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Rita.
I'm extremely frightened of backpacking because of accidents and problems. What would you say to help me overcome that fear?
I would say that just being prepared. You know, think the most common accidents are going to be something such as like using the stove when you're boiling water. That's one of the number one accidents is water, boiling water falling on you, or something like a snake bite or a bug bite, or going into like poison oak or ivy. So just be prepared. Have a first aid kit for that. Just read up, become knowledgeable.
I went hiking in Zion for the first time, and as we climbed the mountain, a woman died from
Dehydration.
Dehydration.
Wow.
She literally fell in front of us, and 20 of us were there. She died.
Yeah, I would suggest starting small like you did with that hike in Zion and learn from what you see around you, and remember to bring, in this case, remember to bring water. Now we have time for one more question. Yes, Jan.
Maybe she wasn't fit. Maybe she didn't,
Yes.
check herself out. Maybe that would be the first thing to make sure that you're capable of handling. And I wonder, what was your highest elevation you accomplished?
I would say it was Mount Whitney, so 14,000 and change.
Okay, that concludes our talk for this morning. I want to thank Sean for coming in and letting us know how to become an adrenaline junkie.
Okay.
Thank you very much.